and I think that railroad's tossed around, almost like a curse word as in the DMing world, and I think that if you're taking away your player's agency, that's bad. But if you're just all moving toward the same plot line, then there's nothing wrong with that. If everyone's agreeing that they're all interested in saving the world, they don't want to deal with the piddly little nonsense here in town. They want to go straight to the cataclysmic world-altering event stuff, and that's the storyline everyone wants to play. Then that's not like a failed DM thing or something like that. I guess it's not my leaning as a DM, but I definitely am more of the whatever, run around, start a business. I actually have got a game that they own about 6, and they've had to license them all, and they run an orphanage, and they've got all there's like 100 different little business interests that they're sticking fingers in, and to me that's a lot of fun. But I understand that there are players that are going to be like, oh my god, nothing's happening, like we don't we don't do anything, we haven't left this city in like 2 years, like
railroad is tossed around as like a bad word, but I think that the main reason that is because I think a majority of people that play, a majority of players end up falling into a certain category of where they want to play the game because they want their characters to be able to do what they want. And so when you have these players joining into games with DMs that want to run, say, a strict module or a straightforward, save the world campaign where it is a little more railroady, you have players that are joining games that they're not a fit for. Right. So then you end up with the railroad being a bad term. Now, if you have players that's what they want, that's your type of game, you're joining a DM because you know he's running a game that is story driven, that is pretty much railroad centric, a module, what have you, then that's fine. There's nothing wrong with railroad, but it gets a bad rap because just like any term in D&D, and where you're talking about any type of player or any type of DM, the only reason they get a bad rap is because the players and the DMs are not a good fit for each other. And that's what we're trying to talk about, is to get your fit as a player, as a DM. If you find your fit, there is no bad word.
Right. If you are doing some sort of like greater plot arc development stuff, and even if it's individual running around nonsense, eventually the stakes have to get raised, the pressure has to be increased in some way, and that there are people who are going to call that railroad. I think that it is part of pushing the plot forward at some point. I think that's it's much more important that everyone's looking for the same kind of game, because what one DM does and gets called railroading by one player, another DM could do with another player and never hear the same word because they were both looking for that kind of game at the time.